Hello, friends. Welcome to SideQuest for How to Handyma'am. We bring you these short episodes so we can explore topics that get us off track, like the crazy stories from the field, listener questions, and interviews with people we think you should know.
I'm Arly.
I'm Emily.
And that's Hannah Pearl. Hannah is my daughter and Emily's twin sister. She's a graduate of the University of Michigan in the Industrial and Operations Engineering program, and she's an engineering manager for the Tier 1 automotive supplier Denso Manufacturing, Michigan. She received an award for her work as an emerging leader with the Women Make Awards through the Manufacturing Institute, and as you might imagine, Hannah works in a field that is disproportionately occupied by men, not just engineering, but also automotive manufacturing. She's an incredible trailblazer who honors the women who came before and paves the way for the women who are following behind her. Plus, she's a girl's girl who shows up for those in her life, and she embodies the spirit of being a handyman. All right, folks. Well, we know Hannah quite well, and you don't. So we're just going to ask her a few questions that helps you get to know her. So I guess start out by telling us, I'm really familiar with automotive manufacturing, but not everybody is. So what's it like at your facility in Battle Creek?
The thing that people are most shocked about is the size of it. So we make HVACs and engine cooling modules, which are giant. And so our facility is over 1 million square feet.
Cool.
And so, yeah.
I can't even comprehend that size.
Yeah, people walk in and they're like,
Well, people ride bicycles in your factory, don't they?
What?
The maintenance people. I might be able to ride one with my new job. We'll see. But I'm an engineer there. So the past 5 years or 4.5 years, I've been with our industrial engineering group, and I've been working on how do we make our factory more efficient. So those of you who are type A, you understand making things as pretty and organized as possible is what you want to do. And that's basically what I do for my job. But with people and making sure their jobs are safe and efficient and that we have the right people in the right spaces to do their job.
So I assume it's pretty uncommon for women to work in engineering and manufacturing, but I'm pretty sure you know the specific percentages.
I know that my degree was 42% women, so industrial engineering is a little ahead of the curve. And then University of Michigan is 27% women in engineering when I went there. But in manufacturing in general, it's about 29% according to the last US Census, and 29% women in leadership as well.
Okay. And then in engineering, like in your specific departments, what's not the specific percentage necessarily, but how many of the people who work there are actually women?
It goes up and down. Industrial engineering kind of follows the same curve it did in college. So we used to have about 50% women in my department. Now there's maybe 3. And then the new department I'm going to, I'll be the only woman there.
Wow. Speaking of what you said before, it is getting people in the right roles, like the right people in the right roles. How do you do that? Because I know you came and you worked with our team a little bit to get everybody like, this is how you figure out what your strengths are, and this is how you figure out what things you might be best at. Tell our listeners about that, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who were like us that like struggled to figure out what they were really good at, because some of those things that we talked about, I was actually surprised that I was like, oh, do I really have a tendency to be better at this? So I think it would actually be surprising to some people. How do you figure that out, and how do you use that?
Yeah, so the official way I like to use to figure it out is Clifton Strengths, which is what I had my Handyma'am team go through. So that's like a very corporate version of like a Myers-Briggs or any personality assessment. So that's an official way to do it. But for me to figure out what people like to do, I, in a work setting, like to throw them into different roles. And then one of the things I'm good at and like to do is ask specific questions to people to really understand what do you like, or dig deeper until you actually find out what you like. I do that with myself to figure out what I want out of my career. And so doing that with other people, and kind of like once you have your Clifton Strengths, or once you're like, oh, I really like presentations, understanding not the what, but the why behind it. Like, why do you like to teach people, or why do you like to do social media? Those things, once you dig into the why, that's how you get to like where someone actually is and what their strengths are, instead of like the what. Because everyone can do, a lot of the outcomes look the same. Everyone can make a presentation, everyone can do that kind of stuff, but the way you go about it or how you write your stories is different.
So,
for the listeners who don't know, Hannah got almost all of the type A-ness when we...
No, you know how to use Excel now.
Sort of. And I got most of the type B. And I, as most of you know, didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up as a kid. I have flopped around to many things, but ever since 6th grade, Hannah decided it was University of Michigan Industrial Operations Engineering, and then she started at Denso as an intern in a high school. So, I guess, what does it feel like to not change your mind about stuff every 2 seconds?
Yeah, we built a roller coaster in 6th grade, and I don't know, it clicked. I was a little Pavloved by my Aunt Jean.
That's true. Her Aunt Jean works she's retired now, but worked at the University of Michigan in the engineering department. So, yeah, she was working on Hannah early.
Yeah, so we did, was it middle school? We rode the train.
Oh, yeah.
What about the segways?
Yeah, we rode the train.
Yeah.
They're antiquated now, but Segway tours were all the rage when we were in middle school. And so we did one of the engineering campus, and I was like, yep, I'm going here.
And I was like, nope. Aunt Jean knew, though, that I was not the one for that.
But I was always inclined for, like, math and science, but not, like, a super geek about that. And then I went to the Math and Science Center in high school, and I had an engineering class, and my teacher had said to me one time a couple of things that really, like, made a difference. He said, like, engineering is all about problem solving, which I love to solve problems. And he said that an engineer is someone who, like, is cool in the face of problems too, that you can never do problem solving without a level head. And so both of those things, like, really stuck with me. And then I liked the schooling. Like, I don't stick to things I don't like in, like, a positive way. And I've never not liked industrial engineering. So I stuck with it.
I just wondered if the way that you interact with your female employees is any different than the guys, or the ways you work to help them be successful.
No, yeah, not really, because I think there's a difference between equality and equity, and I'm really mindful of that in the workplace. So I treat everyone uniquely, but kind of the way I go about it is the same. So like I said, I like to ask a lot of questions, and I like to, like, understand what makes them tick, and what, like, I'm not a certain type of leader. I'm a leader who is for a certain type of employee. And so there's people I manage differently just because of the way they are. And that's the definition of equity, is, like, meeting people where they're at and boosting them from there. And so the men on my team or the women on my team, they all are treated differently because that's what works and jives well with them and their learning styles and how they like to be managed.
I think one thing that, well, first of all, for those who aren't familiar with types of engineering, I'd say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but industrial and operations engineering is a lot more people-focused than the others. It's kind of making engineering the people to do what you need them to do. And you're uniquely good at pulling people's talents out, which I think is why you're so well-suited. And Hannah's one of the she'll be embarrassed by me saying this, but one of the fastest rising managers at Denso. She got her promotion really quickly, which is really exciting. She's incredible at what she does, but I know you also have had a lot of helpful mentors along your way. I know is it help run your mentorship program, or?
I revived our mentorship program through our women's network. And then I have done 4 cycles of the mentorship program. We've helped over 200 people in our facility, which is a small portion. That's mentors and mentees. We have 2,300 people, but it's been really fun. I was a mentor for the first time this last session, and my employee got hired in. She was a contractor.
That's great.
My mentee. She was a contractor, and we worked through how to advocate for yourself and how to get what you want, basically, through that advocation. And so, yeah, we ran a mentorship program. Mentorship is really hard if you're not familiar with it. I've, like, been really lucky to kind of fall into it. Like, in high school with Anthony, who was not my boss, and then he ended up just, like, taking me under his wing, and we still work together to this day, even though he's no longer with the company. We had a couple-minute, hour-long phone call the other day to talk about my new job that I'm taking. And I collect mentors like infinity stones, because it's
That's such a good comparison.
I was listening to this, the Manufacturing Institute does a bunch of webinars, and I was listening to one, and it said you should have like mentors, like a board of directors.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah, I can't remember what all of them are, but like one's an emotional support. So I have a mentor who's a woman who just like gets it. Like I said, it's either you get it or you don't, and she gets it. And so having Heidi by my side, and she's also a great advocate and has like been invaluable to the pace I'm moving in my career, and other mentors. So I started or like helped revive the program and helped structure it to give other people the opportunity to have, I won't say I'm lucky for the mentors I've had, because I feel like I'm intentional about who I reach out to and keeping up with those, and then like really valuing their time. But I want to set that opportunity up for others. And so we've had our mentorship program. And then sometimes mentorship doesn't work out, especially when you're pairing people. Like it's me and my coworker pairing people, and sometimes there's really bad pairings, but our program's structured. So we have like once per month we'll do an all hands activity. And that'll go through Clifton Strengths and how to advocate for yourself. So even if your like one-on-one pair doesn't work, at least they're getting some self-development. But my philosophy as a leader and as someone running a mentorship program is, how do we create the space for you to be successful? Like people have to help themselves, but if you give them the right questions and the right tools and give them a system to like thrive, they can choose to do that instead of like pulling themselves up by their bootstrap. Like give them a boost and see what happens.
Yeah. Can you tell me, what do you think that a person who's like not in a traditional role of like leadership, what could they do in their workplace to make it like a better environment or more, I don't know if like female forward is really the right word, but
I think it's more like bringing, like you allow people to bring themselves to the
bring
table.
your full self to work.
Yeah.
I think that for me, especially like in being in a team, this started before I was a manager in my team. Like we had another team join us, and so people weren't familiar. So it's again, I guess my whole theme of leadership and like creating a safe space is like keep a level playing field. So I literally have a deck of icebreakers in my desk that we use because everyone at my work loves golfing, hunting, and football. I only recently liked one of the three of those,
which is golf.
Yeah, not hunting, for sure. But that was like, if people are comfortable with that, and you have even one other person in the room that is comfortable with that, that's what they're going to talk about. And there's 12 of us in this room, and so creating an open environment, you need everyone to be leaning into the discussion. So they're silly icebreakers, and like sometimes it's like, describe your day in a color. And people think it's silly, but it also like people do lean in and they answer. It's like, what's your favorite breakfast order? What's your coffee order? And just like creating that level playing field and allowing people to bring a small portion of themselves and not something like as big. Like for a lot of people, hunting is like a lifestyle for a quarter of their year.
Yeah.
And so you might not bring that out of someone, but just something small so they can like actually talk about themselves is really good.
That's probably a good way to bring out the people who are more introverted and don't talk as much. I know I read some statistic that said there has to be like 15 to 30 seconds of silence before an introvert will speak. So if the other people are super comfortable with the topics like football or golf or hunting, then there might not ever be 15 seconds of silence.
Yeah. And then if you're for those, like it's easy to like go around the room, but if like I'm in a meeting and somebody's really quiet, I'll call them out because it's normally they have an opinion and they're scared it's the wrong opinion because they disagree with the majority, or they're an introvert, but everyone has a valuable opinion, even if I don't agree with it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just like go forward. But I want to know because that like everyone needs to be on board to move forward.
Yeah.
We mentioned at the beginning that you embody a handyman, the spirit we bring to the table, although you don't have the handy skills, not that you couldn't learn them, but I think that's one thing that really shows because we, like, at our work, bring our whole selves all the time, and part of being a handyman to us is more than just being handy. It's like bringing your whole self to everything you do and also supporting others, especially women. And so I think it's really cool to see, like, even in a whole different career path, like the ethos we bring to the podcast is something that you kind of bring to your workplace in the world, basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
I'm
like
not
that.
handy by choice because I have 2 handymams in the family. There is no need to fill my brain space with how to use tools when my whole family can.
She is an avid podcast listener, though.
Yes.
Yes. But this is a great example of how Hannah has the choice. Like we talked about before, she has the choice whether she wants to learn how to use tools or if she just wants to call her sister and her mom and have somebody else do it for her, which we think is important. We also think it's really important to be able to advocate for yourself, which you were talking about a lot before, because obviously in our line of work, being able to advocate for yourself and yours, and I'm sure every other line of work, it's really important to be able to kind of stand up and know your worth and your boundaries and all of those things.
Well, we the three of us, Arly, Emily, and I, are handymams in the construction field, obviously. But like Emily said, being a handymam is really, it's not just limited to construction. The way I think of it is it's a mindset where you'll see something that interests you or sparks your curiosity or sparks your joy, and you might not know anything about it, but you make a choice to pursue it. To me, that's what handymamming really is. And I think Hannah exemplifies that both at work and then in the hobbies that she collects, because she gets interested in stained glass. So she's going to teach herself how to do it. Interested in pottery. And so teaches herself how to do it. Interested in painting. That teaches herself how to do it. And I think that should probably resonate with a lot of our listeners who see things they'd like to be able to do, having the confidence to take that leap across the gap, the knowledge gap or the resource gap, and be able to do it. And there are probably, Hannah, quite a few people who are listening now who are in careers they don't love, or situations that aren't great or aren't safe, or they want more. They just want more and they don't know how to get there. And you've really self-navigated to that. What advice, this is probably a good thing to close on, what advice would you give for the people who are listening now that they want more, they want different?
Yeah, I can give a little background to what my mom's alluding to. So I have a career shift coming up. It'll be my first time not being wanting to be in it or being an industrial engineer. I'm going to a mechanical engineering role, which is not my cup of tea. But as a manager, it's different. I should say it's not my cup of tea because it's hard for machines, because you have people, and if you have something 99% right with a person, you're doing pretty well. 99% well with the machine, it's not working. So I haven't taken on this challenge, but for me, and defining what I want out of like my career and where I want to go, just like I said, I ask other people questions. I ask myself the same questions, and like before I advocate for myself, I have a really clear picture of what I want. And so if you don't know what you want, that's what you should figure out first. So there's a specific tool that I really liked. It's called 5 Clues to Talent. It's by Clifton Strengths, actually, or Gallup, who does Clifton Strengths. And it's all about just asking questions of like, what's something you've done and you're like, I can't wait to do that again? Or what's something that no one has to teach you how to do it? Like you just naturally know how to do it. And the results might surprise you. Like for me, I did that as an engineer. So I was doing time studies and like working on improving efficiency. And I found out I really loved project management and I really loved mentoring people. And that fits well with a manager role. And so that was my next step that I worked towards. And then for myself, the like leadership aspect of it, I really love in my like industrial engineering role, but just being a leader of industrial engineering, I'm a subject matter expert. And so I know I want to be a leader. I know I want to move up in the company. So I have a position of power to change our culture and like make us successful. And so I made the decision and asked for a different role. And so for other people, I would really encourage you to understand fully what you want. Like, you know, it's not you're not happy right now, or you don't have that challenge that you're looking for. So you should figure out what that next challenge is. And that's why I really liked that worksheet for 5 Clues to Talent, because it might be something you do in your current role that brings you joy and you just don't know it. And then you should just start asking other people until you find that career that you're like, oh yeah, I really like if you really like problem solving, maybe handyman handyman work is good to do because that's all literally all you guys do is
Yeah.
solve annoying problems. And you might not like, it's kind of that like why versus what, like why does it bring you joy, like problem solving. And once you figure that out, the mode of it might matter to you that it's like a really good team, or you're working with a lot of women, or like maybe the what isn't so important. Like maybe your passion isn't like wood carpentry or trim carpentry, but you like the idea of a challenge. You like going to different workplaces. If you can define that spark of your career, then you can find a new opportunity.
One thing
Makes total sense. Yeah.
I think that you've really helped me with is you're pretty good at like planning and kind of can put horse blinders on. And I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And so Hannah helps with our strategic planning at My Handyma'am, our construction business. And I have these kind of like vague goals in my head. And Hannah taught me about SMART goals, which I encourage everyone to look up. But it's just basically measurable goals that are actually achievable that you can break down into things. So one of my SMART goals this year was to get a certain number of followers. So then that's my top goal. And then I looked at it and how do I break it down into achievable things? Like I need to post this amount. I need to do this. Like what is the roadmap to get there? And then you get to work on that roadmap. You can't just have these far off goals. Well, you can obviously have it, but I think you're so good at like helping people visualize the way to get
how
there.
Do you get there?
How to get there.
Roadmap's a great term because you think about it, like if we want to go to California, you can't just like teleport to California. Like you're going to have stops all along the way, and it's the same with the career path.
Yeah, and I think they need to make sense. Like some goals you've had for social media have been like, if I get this, then I can put a link in my bio. Like those goals have a specific reward attached to them. And so it's really fun to have those, because when you get demotivated of like, oh, like we're not growing or following, or like your aging in place program, like why did you want to do that? You wanted to open a new line of business. You were really passionate about it. And so the like kind of like slogging through the stuff that sucks, you have an end goal in mind that you really like. And so you're able to then keep following your roadmap, and the more clear your roadmap is, the more SMART tests you have, the easier it gets. And so once you figure out what you want in your career, making those like goals, even if it's like you want a side hustle, like just start the first step, make an Instagram or buy the materials you need. Like those are all achievable SMART tests, and like a SMART test should be something you know when it's done. Like it can't just be like, oh, I'm going to start something, because you'll never finish it then.
There's also, I bet everybody listening understands this, such a satisfying experience when you get to check something off your list.
Oh, it's so
And when
nice.
it's a big thing, you check it off once, but you did all this work for it. But if your big thing is broken down into little things, then you achieved not just this one big thing, but all these other things. And all along the way, you still feel like you're getting stuff done. Because like when we renovate like a bathroom, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And we don't just put on our list, renovate the bathroom. That's the end goal, obviously, but we have to like take out the floor. Once we do that, we get to check it off. And we're one step closer. But if we just kept saying, we're renovating the bathroom, we're renovating the bathroom, we're renovating the bathroom, and at each time we're done for the day or whatever, you know, we're still not done checking anything off. So it would like maybe feel like we haven't gotten any closer, even though we've put in this amount of work. So breaking things down into smaller, more achievable, like bite-sized things, it feels a lot more manageable, and also like you're really doing it.
Yeah, like renovating a bathroom, like what does that even mean? You know, and you don't even know like
where do you even start?
Yeah, I think that's a great thing we can take away from what you've talked about today, especially for those of our listeners who aren't the handiest right now and want to become handy. Think about it like we talked about with Hannah, like a roadmap. So when we moved into my house, much to I think my husband's dismay, I made a list that was like 7 pages of everything I didn't like in the house. But instead of like having like this, oh, we need to renovate the house, it was these achievable tasks I could check off. And so for our dear listeners, if you have a long list in your house, or you have renovate the bathroom, or do this thing, or fix the walls in the house, start with one hole. start with one aspect of your bathroom, and it's a roadmap to get there.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Hannah, it's been fantastic having you. You have so much to teach us and those who are listening about how to really just reach out and grab what matters to you, which is, like we said, embodies what it is to be a handyman. So thanks for joining us for this little side quest, and we'll see you on Friday for the full episode.
And you can follow us at How to Handyman on pretty much everything.
And please do.
Please do.
Go out and mentor women and be mentored by other great women. Bye.
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 Mwah. Mwah.